One thing we have to admit is that while BookTok has made reading hugely popular over the past few years, it also shifted the reading culture completely. Reading, which used to be a fun, comforting hobby, is slowly becoming more like a competition now, with things like massive book hauls, endless TBRs, and huge monthly or yearly wrap-ups promoted on BookTok. There's a subtle pressure this culture encourages to read more, consume more, and keep up. But should we feel that way? And what are the downsides of this shift for both readers and authors? And most importantly, how can we make reading something we do for ourselves again? Those are the questions I want to explore today in this video as both a reader and an aspiring author myself. Welcome to the channel and podcast where I ramble about stories, mostly in books and occasionally in music and movies. If you're interested in discussing these things, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Now, let's get into it. While we often recognize the downsides of the excessive consumption of books encouraged on social media, especially on BookTok, we don't always acknowledge the bigger concern, and that is the fact that the way we actually read and interact with books is changing. When I see a monthly wrap-up where someone finished 20 or 30 books, I can't help but wonder, are we losing the art of actually reading? Are we still taking our time with stories, sitting with them after we close the book, reflecting on what we just read, or are we just moving to the next thing as quickly as possible? I've heard so many people say, especially on BookTok, that whatever they read goes in one ear and out the other. And yes, people should absolutely read however they want, but when speed becomes what's praised, rewarded, and encouraged in reading communities, it creates a cycle. One person reads faster to keep up, then another, and another. And then suddenly, everyone is consuming stories so quickly that they barely remember them. And that's where this shift becomes a problem. Because while BookTok gives authors much needed visibility, it can unintentionally harm their work as well. Especially those authors who want their stories to mean something to readers, not just entertain them for 48 hours before being forgotten. As an aspiring author myself, that thought genuinely worries me. Like, what do you mean you forgot everything about the book the second you closed it? And not only that, but we also have to ask what this shift means for us as readers. Shouldn't we remember the books we read, especially if they meant a lot to us? Shouldn't reading be something we experience fully rather than rushing through it while already thinking about the next book on our list? So what are the elements driving this change? For me, there are three main culprits. The first one, and you probably already know what I'm going to say. Yes, say it with me. BookTok. Now, I love BookTok. It's done amazing things for authors, the publishing industry, and for readers who finally feel part of a community. And you can love something while also acknowledging its downsides. Loving BookTok doesn't mean you can't have a nuanced conversation about it. And in the case of BookTok and platforms like it, there's no denying that they often promote faster ways of reading. This is evident in things like 24-hour readathons, or recommendation lists like books to binge in a day to reach your reading goal. While these trends are meant to make reading exciting, they can easily shift reading from a fun hobby into yet another area where we feel the need to be productive or keep up. Now, the second culprit is reading apps, and again, no hate toward them. I personally use Goodreads and Fable. It's nice to have one place where you can see your progress and feel that little burst of motivation as you move through a book. But there's also pressure that comes with these apps. Goodreads, for example, shows you how far behind you are on your yearly reading goal. But we could argue also that even setting that goal at all can add stress, because now you're reading to hit a number rather than just to enjoy reading. These apps also give us more access than ever to what others are reading. If you follow certain people, you can see their updates every time they finish a book or start a new one. And if you're a slow reader or you're in a reading slump and you're already feeling bad about it, because a reading slump can be very frustrating, I know that from my experience, it's almost impossible not to compare yourself. And the third culprit is something people on BookTok love doing, and that is judging others for what they read. And this is how it connects to reading becoming a competition. First, people start competing over who is actually a reader, whatever that means. This shows up as people acting like their taste is superior, or through them making negative comments about others' preferences. And it makes reading more about proving something. Proving you're serious, proving you're literary enough, proving you're not basic. And this makes the environment less welcoming for those who read slowly or simply those who don't read as much, because they start to feel unsafe sharing how little they've read. When they watch people being constantly judged for their reading taste, as I said, those slow readers and other readers in general start worrying about also being judged, not only for their reading taste, which is the thing that other people are getting judged on, but now for the amount they read too. Again, this fuels the pressure to keep up and to read more, but now it's not coming from joy, but from fear of judgment. Now, I want to quickly go over the negative effects this entire thing has, not only on us as readers, but on authors as well. For us as readers, we need to admit that somewhere along the way, reading stopped being about the act of reading itself and quietly became all about the numbers of books we finish rather than our experience reading them. Instead of being present with a book while reading, many of us are now focused on reaching the next goal or checking off the next book. I recently read an article that described this perfectly. The writer compared our current approach to reading to hustle culture, this grinding, productivity-obsessed mindset that has dominated the past decade. And the truth is, it's even reached reading, an activity that's supposed to be peaceful, reflective, and slow. And other than the reading community becoming harsh, which creates the sense of alienation for a lot of readers, as I mentioned, reading has started to feel like a performance, where now we feel pressured to read the right books, have the right opinions, and the right taste, whatever that means. And for authors, because readers now prioritize speed and volume, there's less space now for complex prose, slower pacing, or deeper, heavier topics. Books that require time and attention naturally become less appealing. So readers start to avoid longer reads, classics, and denser narratives. Even books that could have been deeply meaningful get skipped in favor of faster, easier reads that help us reach our goals. And whether intentionally or not, authors begin to feel the pressure to simplify their writing and cater to this faster consumption of books. Then there's the idea of turning your brain off while reading books, which can a lot of the time feel a bit hurtful for the authors who spent a lot of time crafting and writing these books. It's also not great for us as readers in the long run. Yes, reading can be fun and purely for entertainment at times, but this turn your brain off approach shouldn't become the default. Stories are meant to move us, teach us, challenge us, or inspire us in unexpected ways, and we need to remember that. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this: read however you like and read however much you like. Especially for anyone who considers themselves a slow reader, you are doing great just by showing up and making reading part of your life. Now, with the way that the reading culture has been shifting lately, we have to admit, as I was saying from the beginning of this video, that a lot of us have stopped reading for ourselves. And while it'll take some time for the culture around reading to change for the better, I know it might sound cringy, but change starts with you. You get to decide how you approach reading, how you feel about it, and whether you make it enjoyable again instead of a competition. Now, how do we do that? Everyone's journey is personal, but here are 3 tips that helped me and might help you too. First, ask yourself why you read. Think about it. Why do you pick up a book? Is it to escape, to relax, to learn, to stay off your phone? Whatever your reason is, let that be your guide. When you're operating from your own inner compass, instead of the noise on social media or the pressure to keep up, reading stops being a race and becomes something meaningful again. Second, stop judging yourself. And also stop judging others. I think that there's this fact that we miss a lot of the time, and that is the fact that a lot of this pressure comes from us judging ourselves for not reading enough, not keeping up, or even for our reading taste. And sometimes we judge others too, and we need to stop doing that. Because when we do, we become more open to new recommendations. We follow our curiosity and create a space for ourselves to read more freely, try new things, and just read purely for ourselves again. And also another way that this judgment can come about is by you judging yourself if you're struggling to make reading a habit. All I have to say about this is don't judge yourself. I know it's easier said than done, but just be kind to yourself. Ease into reading instead of forcing it. If life gets busy and you don't read for a few days, that's fine. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up for it. Third, and I think this is the most important one, is trust your own taste. Who doesn't love a good recommendation? Hearing someone rave about a book can make you excited to pick it up. But lately, I've been trying to choose books because I want to read them, not just because they're trending or popular. And yes, I still pick up the popular ones. Those are fun too, but it's important to remember that your reading doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Developing your own preferences is so important, especially as an aspiring author. I've had to remind myself that trusting my own taste is part of learning to enjoy reading and writing again. At the end of the day, you need to make reading fun and turn it into your own thing. Not something to compete over, but something that genuinely brings you joy. And if we all start approaching it this way, maybe the entire reading culture can start feeling that way about it too. So this is what I have to say about reading becoming a competition lately. Of course, these are just my opinions, and I'd love to know yours. Do you agree that reading is slowly turning more competitive? And what do you think we can do to make it fun again? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss future videos, and check out the podcast version of Once Upon a Ramble on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And if you want to connect more, you could follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok, linked in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I appreciate it so much. And yeah, we'll meet again in the next one. Mwah! Bye!